Hi YouTube. This isn't one of my normal videos, but I thought it's so special that I would share it with you. I'm going to make Marcella Hazan Ragu Bolonaise Sauce out of her Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking. This is one of those recipes that takes all day to make, but is oh so worth it. We've been snowed in again. And we've got a monster storm coming in on Wednesday this week. So, and it's Super Bowl Sunday. So what else do I have to do besides cook a really great spaghetti sauce or bolognese sauce? So that's what I'm doing today, and I thought it's special enough that I'd share it with you. Anyway, what I'm doing is I took some butter, melted that down, and now I'm going to sweat the onions till they're translucent. And by the way, I will put the recipe below the video here so you have it. I'm going to add this extra virgin olive oil to the butter and onions so that it doesn't, so that the butter doesn't burn. This recipe takes about 7 hours to cook, so that's one thing that it's an all-day ordeal, but it is oh so worth it. Once you this darn onion, you've got to dice these onions very fine, and same thing with the carrots and celery. I cut them real small, tiny little pieces. Anyway, and I use California carrots for this because I think they're a sweeter carrot. So I've cut those up real fine as well. And I used a 1 cup of onion. I used a 1 1/3 cups of carrot, 1 1/3 cups of chopped celery here, and I'm going to cook these until they're translucent. And you just make darn sure you don't burn this. If you burn this, you're going to be starting all over again. Anyway, these are translucent and they're cooking down. I'm going to go ahead. I've got grass-fed beef here. I do not have her recipe calls for a 1/2 pound of ground beef chuck, a 1/2 pound of ground pork, and a 1/2 ground veal. I don't have that. I always use just the ground beef, and sometimes I'll use the ground pork, but I don't buy veal, so I've never tried this with the veal, but that's what her recipe called for. I make a lot of substitutions on recipes, as you'll see. These are the canned imported Italian Marzano tomatoes. Don't substitute those either. For some reason, the Italian imported San Marzano tomatoes really make a sauce. So I never substitute. If I'm going to make an Italian dish, I always use the Italian San Marzano tomatoes. I did make this once with the organic diced tomatoes, and not even close. So I would never ever substitute this in another recipe. So if it's Italian, I always use the Italian San Marzano tomatoes. The ones at Costco come whole. You do have to crush them, and I choose to crush them by hand. I guess I could use a tomato or potato masher, but this is kind of half the fun of it, is just getting in here and crushing them up by hand. The ones at Costco, the brand that they have comes with basil leaves in it. First time I did this, I thought that they had left tomato leaves in the tomatoes. But alas, I went and read the can, and they're whole basil leaves. If I can find one in here, I'll show you. Anyway, but this is kind of fun. This is one of those recipes that's it's so worthwhile to make. At least make it once, and you'll have to let me know how it turns out if you do. I think it's just a phenomenal recipe. It really makes a great spaghetti, any kind of pasta really, lasagna. There's a basil leaf. Anyway, so I'm just doing this, we don't need these right away, but I did want to get these crushed up while I'm waiting for the next step of the sauce. Okay, I've rendered that down, and as you can see, there's hardly anything left. You want to have a little bit left, but not much. I'm going to add a little bit more salt to this. I think the salt helps break the veggies down, and I'm going to go ahead and add the black pepper, and I've already added 1/8 of a teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. If you don't have if you can't freshly grate your nutmeg, you can use 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. That puts a really nice back note flavor into the sauce. And here I'm adding the milk to it. Her recipe calls for 2 cups of whole milk, and I don't have whole milk on hand, and since it's a snow day, I'm going to use half and half. Anyway, I've cooked that all down, as you can see, and now I'm going to add the 2 cups of dry white wine. And if you wouldn't drink it, don't use it in your recipe here. I make sure I buy one of my favorite bottles of wine that I do drink. That's what I use to make the sauce with. So if you wouldn't drink it, don't put it in there. I would never ever use cooking wine for this sauce. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and render this down. Let this cook off. As you can see, I've got that cooked down, and each time I do this, it's about a half hour, 40 minutes. So you can see it takes quite a while to make this sauce, but it is oh so worth it. I'm going to go ahead and add the San Marzano tomatoes that I hand crushed, and I'm going to cook this sauce, stirring it pretty consistently throughout the rest of the day. We're going to eat about 6 o'clock tonight. And I'm going to serve this with penne pasta, and tomorrow the sauce will even be better. For some reason, the first day it's good, don't get me wrong, but the second day it is just fabulous. The sauce gets better with age. You can freeze this sauce as well. I'm actually going to make a lasagna out of this sauce. I'll be doing that tomorrow. Today, like I said, we're just going to have some penne pasta with some Reggiano Parmesan cheese grated on it, and I'm going to garnish it with some parsley, and we've got some homemade Italian bread, and I'm going to go ahead and stir this down, and it'll be cooking for it's got about 6 hours. So the sauce takes about 7 hours total to make. But as it thickens up, and as I get ready to serve this up, I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. Oh, I'm going to taste it. I saw this on a cooking show. The chef keeps plastic spoons. Normally I taste my sauces and cooking so much that I go through all of my metal spoons, so I started using plastic ones, and it works out real well. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring you back after I make all my adjustments and cook this down. As you can see, I've cooked down, it's cooked about 2 inches off, and it's really thickened up. I'm getting the water ready. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening. I started this at 10:30 this morning, and oh, is this stuff good? Anyway, I'll bring you back as I plate this up and get the penne pasta made. Needs a little bit of salt. Give it a stir, and I'll, like I said, I'll bring you back when I'm ready to give it the old taste test for dinner. I'll post the all the ingredients below the video so you can write it down if you'd like to make it. Here I've just added parsley and some shaved Parmesan Reggiano. Got my glass of wine, and I'm all set for dinner. Just need to get the final taste test here. Well, it's phenomenal. Anyway, as always, this is Back to Basics Gal. If you make it, let me know what you think. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by.